The last thing Codsworth says to us in the year 2077 is,
Codsworth, stay safe, buddy.
And your family as well, sir? Oh, my.
he wants the family to stay safe. 200 years later, we find him again. He looks a little different. Gone is his shiny chrome casing. He's now rusted. But we find him right where we left him, and he's overjoyed to see us.
Codsworth.
As I live and breathe. Oh, it's really you.
But when he learns what happened to our spouse and Sean, he can't accept it.
Sir, these things you're saying, these terrible things, I believe you need a distraction.
All he wanted was for our family to stay safe. But 200 years later, he learns that 2/3 of our family didn't. His instinct after learning this is that they must be hiding somewhere. And if they are, that means we can find them.
I have an idea. Let's search the neighborhood together. After all, the Mrs. and young Sean, they're my family too.
And so he sets off to rebuild his family. And when that fails, he does his best to point us in the right direction.
Well, you could head into the city. Concord is nearby.
One might not be surprised to find Codsworth in this state. After all, he is a robot, designed to work indefinitely as long as he has fuel, and as long as he's not destroyed. But upon talking with him further, we learned that this whole scenario has taken a mental toll on Codsworth.
Codsworth, you're acting a little bit weird. What's wrong?
Oh, sir, it's been just horrible. 2 centuries with no one to talk to, no one to serve. The bombs came and all of you left in such a hurry. I thought for certain you and your family were dead.
So this is all that's left.
That's not all that's left, sir. There's still you and me.
He's not okay. He's thrilled to have us back, but the past 200 years have been hard for him to bear. When we return from Concord and ask Codsworth to join us as a companion, he readily agrees. After all, he wants to help rebuild the family too. And if, after traveling with him for some time, we do things that he approves of, eventually he takes us aside, and we learn more about what the last 200 years were like for him.
Not right now, Codsworth.
I understand, sir, but really this will just take a moment.
Maybe later. Now's not a good time.
Of course, sir, of course.
Sure, what's on your mind?
Oh, just a little something I'd like to get off the old proverbial chest.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, thank you, sir. You are, as always, most considerate. I just want to say what an honor it is for me to accompany you. You've no idea the horror these past 2 centuries have wrought. The initial destruction, not knowing if you and your family were all right. It was a relief just to find the entrance intact.
Codsworth, I never knew. I can't imagine it was easy. Vault-Tec wouldn't let us take you. I'm sorry, Codsworth. It was so sudden. Not even time for goodbyes.
Not a single worry, sir, as I shared your priorities completely. Family safety first, above all else. And yes, while it was hard at first, I was able to eventually move on.
That must have been hard on you. How did you move past it?
At first it was the work. Busying myself day and night, and believe me, there was plenty of it. But eventually the work became light chores. What truly saved me was my memories, sir. Memories of you and the missus, young Sean. Of your love and kindness. I soldiered on, fueled by hope that one day, if not you and the wife, that Sean, or perhaps Sean's children, would one day emerge.
You don't regret it? All the waiting?
Never. If you ask me, it was worth it. All 200 years.
Sorry it took so long. I only wish we could have all gotten out. As a family.
As do I, sir. As do I. It is unfortunate.
Well, I hope you're not disappointed.
Never. Just knowing you're alive and young Sean is out there has renewed my energy.
I'm glad you stuck around.
Oh, sir, you don't know how good it is to hear you say that. I just wanted you to know how much I consider you family. I may be a mere robot to some, but I do hope you've come to see me as more.
You're getting soft on me, Codsworth. I need you to stay focused.
I know, sir, I know. But I really felt I must tell you how I feel. I may be made of metal, but these emotions... sometimes I wish being a robot could be that simple. I simply don't know how mankind copes.
Why would you think otherwise? From Sean's birth until now, you've always been there. Of course, Codsworth. Don't worry. I feel the same. I consider you to be family too, Codsworth. We're in this world for the long haul. Together.
Mr. Nate, you don't know how wonderful it is for me to hear that. I feel completely recharged. Well, enough blither-blather from me. Let's get back to it, shall we?
The thought that got him through those 200 years was the thought of reuniting with his family. And here he had to know that Nate viewed him as family. That to Nate, Codsworth was more than just a robot. If we tell him that he's getting soft, he almost bursts into tears. But if we tell him that he is family, he is overjoyed. Codsworth places high value on family, on the family bond, on preserving family, on loving family. And it's no wonder. That's what he was built to do by General Atomics in consort with Robco. He was not only a butler robot, but a nanny robot, as we saw from the introductory scenes of Fallout 4. It was his job to care and nurture Sean. It was his job to care for the family. It makes perfect sense that this devotion to family was programmed into him, and that programming stuck with him for over 200 years. This theme about family is repeated time and time throughout the game as we travel with Codsworth. One of the best examples is when we go to Diamond City and head to the schoolhouse. There we find a Mrs. Nannybot named Edna teaching a class. She works for Mr. Zwicky, the headmaster at this tiny school, and after introducing herself, she talks to us about family.
Family. It is important, yes? This thing called love, I hear the children talk about. I think they need that to learn.
We could say that a child needs discipline.
Love won't keep your family alive. Sometimes you need to be hard.
Oh, I see.
And if we do, Codsworth likes it, because of course, children do need discipline. They don't need abuse, but there's a difference between discipline and abuse. Discipline can be instructive. It can be a positive force. It doesn't necessarily need to be negative. But we could also say that a child needs love.
A child needs all the love you can give them.
Oh, please do not get upset. Why is it when I talk about these things there are always tears?
And if we choose that option, Codsworth loves it. Because yes, a child needs discipline, but more than anything, a child needs love. This is why when we get an opportunity to tell Miss Edna not to bother pursuing her own romantic ambitions.
This love I hear about, do you think you can have it for someone, even if the two of you are very, very different?
Everything you love will just get taken away from you in the end.
It isn't worth it then. I see.
Codsworth dislikes it. But if we tell her that love conquers all...
If you love someone, hold on to them. Tomorrow you might not have the chance.
Thank you. You have helped me make up my mind about something.
Codsworth loves it. And it's only later that we understand the ramifications of this choice. For if we told her that love conquers all, later we find her getting married to Mr. Zwicky. They become a family, and the sole survivor helped them do it. Codsworth loves family. Codsworth loves fighting for family. Codsworth loves holding those who harm your family to account. For example, when talking with the railroad, and when Desdemona shares their story of suffering tragedy from the Institute, we can tell her that one of our motivations is to avenge our family.
The Institute's going to pay for what they've done to my family.
You have a lot in common with too many of us, I'm afraid.
And Codsworth likes it. If, when talking with Geneva in Diamond City, while trying to get the keys to Kellogg's house, we appeal to her sensibilities towards family...
Please. All I want to do is find my son. The man who owned that house kidnapped him.
Well, you do seem like a sweet guy.
Codsworth likes it. And during building a better crop, when the synth, who is Roger Warwick, tells us that his foreman is trying to get between him and his family...
Now, he's starting to work on my wife and kids, trying to turn them against me too.
Turning family against family is a fiendish act.
Codsworth hates it, even though he knows that this isn't the real Roger Warwick. But then again, the real Roger Warwick is dead. His family members don't know that the man they know as Roger is actually a synth. And the synth Roger appears to actually love his family. So if anything happened to this synth imposter, it would destroy this family. Something Codsworth is against. And then, after we complete ArcJet with Paladin Dance, he offers to recruit us to join the Brotherhood. If we decline, Codsworth pipes in to explain that we're only declining because we're looking for our family.
No, I need to move on.
I'm afraid we have our own mission to fulfill, Paladin Dance. One of great importance.
And this mission is of great importance. But Codsworth can see the silver lining in all outcomes. If instead we offer to join the Brotherhood,
I'd be honored to join.
Surely with their resources, we'll be able to find young Sean.
he sees value in it because the Brotherhood might have the resources to help us restore our family. So far, this is all going according to Codsworth's programming. And yet, in Codsworth, we find more than just a love of family. Codsworth has empathy towards others, even if they're not family. He likes it when we help people. He likes it when we are kind to people. He dislikes it if we refuse to help people. He dislikes it if we're rude to people. We see this on display over and over again. For example, when giving Piper our interview inside Public Occurrences, she asks us what we would say to people who had lost family to kidnapping. If Nate says,
No matter how much you want to give up, don't. You have to have hope that you'll see them again. Or at least, that you'll know the truth.
A strong note to end on, Blue. Thanks.
Codsworth loves it. Nate is giving encouragement to those who have suffered loss. He's showing empathy for other people, and Codsworth approves. When Desdemona shares with us that almost everyone in the railroad has suffered tragedy at the Institute's hands, we can say that we want to protect others.
I don't want anyone else to suffer at their hands.
Amen to that.
And Codsworth likes it. But others are not part of the family. This is exhibiting empathy outside the family unit. When we reach Valentine's detective agency, and Ellie Perkins asks us to help find Nick Valentine,
I'll find him. You have my word.
Thank you.
Codsworth likes it. If, after stumbling upon Paladin Dance at the Cambridge police station, we decline his request for help,
We could use an extra gun on our side.
At this rate, you'll be dead in 2 days, and I want no part of it.
Surely we could spare a little aid, sir. We don't even know what they're doing here.
Codsworth dislikes it and reminds us that we can help those in need, because maybe they can help us back later. However, if we hesitantly agree to help Paladin Dance,
I'll continue to help, but you owe me an explanation first.
Agreed. The more we know, the better we may assist.
Very well.
Codsworth approves. It's only much later, after the Brotherhood arrives in the Commonwealth, that Codsworth begins to have doubts about their true motivations. If we talk with him about joining, he says,
Sir, I realize you have military training, but I fear your decision may have been too abrupt. The Brotherhood seems more concerned about their technology than the people of the Commonwealth.
his concern with the Brotherhood is that they're not concerned about the people of the Commonwealth. Their priority isn't helping people. It's not empathy. It's technology. Codsworth is nostalgic. Since he was there before the war, he remembers how everything used to be. And so walking around in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, he's constantly reminded about how better things were, how things could have been, how people used to enjoy this space. And it breaks his heart.
Your thoughts?
We learn history lest it repeat itself.
Your thoughts?
Just the Commonwealth these days, sir. Never in my existence did I imagine we'd find ourselves in such a state. Nuclear war, the missus gone, the fate of young Sean. How many lives were lost due to the war? It's tragic, sir. It truly is.
Your thoughts?
I fear So much history will soon be forgotten.
Codsworth is heartbroken to see his city in such ruin, and he wants to rebuild. But that's not part of his programming. General Atomics didn't program him to want to rebuild. And yet, when given the opportunity, when talking with Piper, to say that we admire seeing what survivors are doing out there in the wasteland.
Honestly, seeing everyone surviving out here, rebuilding the world, it gives me hope.
That's surprisingly inspired, Blue.
Codsworth approves. If we express determination to just keep living, one day at a time.
You can only take it one day at a time. Just keep going. That's all anyone can do.
We're all just doing what we have to, huh? I think my readers can relate to that.
Codsworth admires the grit. Codsworth wants to rebuild civilization, which is why he dislikes it if we refuse to become General of the Minutemen.
And I think you've got it in you to be that leader.
Mr. Garvey is quite right, sir. If anyone can unite the people, it's you.
No, I'm not your savior. I have my own problems to deal with.
Sir, it's true we have other priorities, but the Commonwealth's problems are our own as well.
I get it.
But of course he likes it if we agree.
Okay, I'll do it.
That's the spirit, sir, and one giant step in the right direction for the Commonwealth.
Your thoughts?
A fine decision, sir. Or General, if I may. The Minutemen seem to be quite the upstanding group.
Part of it may be that he's viewing Nate through rose-colored glasses. After all, Nate is his owner, and he's programmed to think of Nate as this unstoppable force of good. But in these instances, this force of good is not being used just to rebuild his family, but to rebuild other families, to help other people. We could refuse to help find Nick Valentine.
No way am I getting mixed up in this.
Looking out for yourself, huh? Guess I can't blame you.
Codsworth does not like it. Or we could agree only to do it if Ellie gives us money.
Hey, I'd love to help, but there's a small matter of expenses.
Money, huh?
And here we learn from Codsworth that motivation for good deeds matters to him as well. He wants Nate to have altruistic motivations, to help people in need for the sake of helping people in need because it's good, because it's better for society. If he only does it to line his pocket, he still disappoints Codsworth. But worse than that to Codsworth is harming a family for profit. Like when we talk to Cedric during the quest Building a Better Crop. We need information from him to save Roger Warwick, to save his family. And he's only willing to give us that information for a price.
Tell you what, though. If I've learned anything here, it's that information's got a price. So make me an offer, and let's see what happens.
A man's life is at stake, and you're fishing for a bribe. You're pathetic.
That's the sort of offer you'd expect from a raider.
I know you're in a tough situation here, but lives are at stake. Please, help me.
Think about Mr. Warwick's family.
This disgusts Codsworth. If Nate continues to make selfish, rude, or unsympathetic choices, eventually Codsworth takes us aside.
Sir, I simply must speak with you.
Later, Codsworth. Now's not the time.
I'm beginning to think now's never the time with you.
All right, Codsworth, what is it?
It's quite simple, really.
Go ahead. Speak.
And speak I shall.
All right, Codsworth, let's talk.
Hear me out. While the idea of taking a scolding tone to an adult appalls me, you leave me little choice. Sir, I have watched you plummet from a man of compassion to a mere heathen. If I didn't know you before the war, I'd say you were no better than the raiders that blight the Commonwealth today. I don't want to abandon you, but you would certainly be forcing my hand.
And what would you do, Codsworth? Trim a dying bush for the rest of your life?
Well, not a dying one, of course. There are plenty who would appreciate a few extra hands.
Don't leave, Codsworth. I can change. I can do this.
Every circuit of my being wants to believe you, sir. But I've heard those words before. I do hope this time you mean it.
We'll see what happens. Get used to it, buddy. People change.
Sir, all I ask is that you reconsider your actions. The good people out there are the only hope for the Commonwealth. And you used to be the best of them.
What is going on here? This robot is programmed to obey Nate. This robot is Nate's possession, his property. Nate literally bought him and unboxed him. And yet Codsworth has the gall to take Nate aside and reprimand him? Something has happened over 200 years. Would the Codsworth of 2077 have ever done that? Do we have any indication that before the bombs dropped, Mr. Handy's would regularly lecture their owners on morals and ethics? No. For 200 years, Codsworth sat there trimming that hedge, cleaning that house, remembering his family. And what was it about his family that he remembered?
What truly saved me was my memories, sir, of your love and kindness.
It was the love and kindness that Nate showed him. Codsworth learned to be loving and kind from Nate. Remember, we only have control over the story, the personality, the character of our sole survivor after the bombs drop. Before that time, that character was written by Bethesda. Just like before Benny's intervention, the courier's story and personality was written by Obsidian. And Bethesda's sole survivor already has a backstory, a military veteran or a lawyer, a mother or a father, and a kind and loving parent. It's the tragedy that the sole survivor suffers that reshapes Nate's personality. Nate could become a bitter, spiteful, vengeful creature. Or Nate could overcome those impulses and remain loving and kind. And that is who Codsworth wants Nate to remain. And if we make choices in the game that go against this kind, loving person that Codsworth has come to know as part of his family, Codsworth will be deeply disappointed. If we harm other people or empower them to harm themselves, like giving Mama Murphy drugs.
Oh, Mama Murphy can handle a little pre-war military-grade combat stim.
I've got it.
Oh, Lord. That's pure. Oh, no. You should have seen this coming.
Codsworth dislikes it. He also dislikes it if we're simply rude to people. A loving, kind person isn't rude to people. When we meet Miss Edna for the first time, she asks us a math question. And if we respond rudely...
What is 12 times 15?
It's the square root of... who gives a crap?
Now. Watch your language around the little ones.
Codsworth dislikes it. If we're short with Piper when we see her for the first time...
You'll see for yourself soon enough. Let's go.
I don't take orders from you.
Whoa, take it easy. Yikes.
Codsworth is not a fan, and one of the worst things we can do is steal, even if it's for a good reason. He dislikes it if we pick the locks to owned containers, and he hates it if we steal what's inside of them.
I would have thought we were above that sort of thing.
Intimidation goes hand in hand with rudeness, and Codsworth dislikes that as well. When we're confronted by Finn, we could try to de-escalate the situation, or we could try to stand up to him and intimidate him.
You hand over everything you got in them pockets, or accidents start happening to you. Big, bloody accidents.
You better back off, or you're the one who's gonna need insurance.
Whoa, hey, all right.
And Codsworth doesn't like it. He would prefer the path of least resistance. He would prefer diffusing the situation instead of egging Finn on. Now, Codsworth is not a coward. He fights bravely. After all, he serves the sole survivor. The sole survivor has to fight to survive, and Codsworth has to fight to protect his family. And so in combat, we can hear him taunting. We can hear his bravado.
What's all this, then? Not this time. Really? Is that all you can muffle? Chin up! Calm now! At least try it. I can do this all day!
But outside of combat, when we have opportunities to de-escalate situations, to not choose the violent path, that's what Codsworth prefers. If we can avoid a fight with a courser, we should take it.
Your thoughts?
I do hope these coursers aren't as dangerous as they say. I'm quite fond of my limbs, and living. Let's not forget that.
If we relish having to kill an enemy...
He's dead, Nick.
So, a murderer and a kidnapper gets his brains blown out by an avenging parent.
Doesn't matter what he knew. I'd kill him again in a heartbeat.
He dislikes it. If we threaten to rub Darla and Skinny Malone out after confronting them at Vault 114...
Valentine must have brought him here to rub us all out.
That wasn't the plan originally, but hey, tempting.
Codsworth dislikes it, but worse yet, if we convince Darla to turn on Skinny Malone and fight him...
Skinny's no good for you, Darla. You put a bullet in him, and I just might let you go.
Wow. You're a bad boy, ain't you?
Codsworth hates it, but he likes it if we talk Skinny Malone down.
This is all just a misunderstanding, Skinny. You know that. You let us walk, and we won't come back.
You and Nick shot all of my crew, and you expect to just...
And he likes it if we convince Skinny Malone to break up with Darla.
Look at yourself. Darla's playing you for a sap. You're better than this. You're better than her.
You're right.
Darla goes home to her parents. Darla stops instigating Skinny Malone and trying to get him to fight. He prefers the more peaceful option. And if, instead of talking about all of the good people of the Commonwealth when having the interview with Piper, we focus on all the things we've blown up.
So, you've seen the Commonwealth, Diamond City. How does it compare to your old life?
I've been having too much fun blowing things up to think about it.
Gotta make my job hard for me, huh?
Codsworth dislikes it. Despite all that, he recognizes that violence is sometimes necessary, and sometimes it's the preferable option, like when we confront Gabriel at the top of Libertalia. If we try to avoid violence...
Good. I'd like to avoid any unnecessary violence.
A wise decision, sir.
He likes it. But he also likes it if we suggest killing him is a better option than wiping him.
I'm not going to destroy this man's identity and free will. Killing him would be more humane.
After all the innocent lives he's taken, I believe the word you're looking for, sir, is justice.
If we wipe him, no one's held to account for what this synth did. No one's held accountable. Not the railroad who likely wiped him, not the Institute, not Gabriel. His victims never see justice. Violence is a tool to be used only in the most extreme of circumstances, as necessary in order to stay alive and put our family back together. It's not something we do for vengeance. It's not something we do for fun. And what he absolutely can't stand is betrayal and murder.
Now, what about the serum?
I'm not wasting any more time on this.
After everything I've done for you.
If we promise someone one thing, but we give them something else, or we simply don't deliver, he hates it. If we betray our allies, he hates it. If we murder them, he hates it. And eventually, if we do enough of it, he'll take us aside.
Sir, I cannot remain silent on this. I must speak with you.
Whatever it is, it can wait.
No, I'm afraid it can't.
Is there a problem, Codsworth?
The fact that you even need to ask is very telling, sir.
All right, let's hear it. What's on your mind?
To put it bluntly, I simply cannot be a part of this charade any longer.
What's wrong, Codsworth?
While it pains me to do so, I'm handing in my resignation. I've viewed your actions through a rose-colored lens for long enough. It's time I accepted the truth. This is no hero's quest to exhume the Commonwealth from the ashes of atomic war. This is a farce, and I will no longer be a part of it.
Codsworth, what can I do? Tell me how I can fix this.
I'm afraid this is even beyond the handiwork of General Atomics, sir. Mend the plate, but the cracks remain.
Don't be hasty, Codsworth. Think this through. I can change.
Change? Yes, I quite believe that. For the better? No. That time has long passed.
No, Codsworth, stay. You're right. And starting now, I'm gonna change.
And why should I believe you this time? My memory files don't lie, sir. You've said almost those very words before.
We find not one, but 3 red, very difficult charisma checks to convince him to stay. If we fail any of them, he has the same response.
A nice try, sir, but there are no words to repair this damage. You have been warned countless times, yet still insist on going too far.
But he has a different response for passing each one. And of note, one of the options is to convince him to stay because we're a family.
But we're family, Codsworth, aren't we? Family sticks together.
I suppose you're right. But this must be your final warning. It's shape up or ship out.
Maybe you are better off leaving. Look at what I've become. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve someone like you.
Oh, come now, sir. That's easily changed. Don't be so down on yourself. Perhaps we'll have one more go of it, for old time's sake.
Please stay. You're all I have. The only good thing left.
Sir, if that's true, then of course I'll stay. Just do try to turn your life around. Any further slip-ups and it's a true farewell. So, shall we journey forth then, sir?
Or we could tell him to go home.
Leave then. Last thing I need is some robot laying on the guilt every time I make a move. You know, on second thought, go. I'm done.
Ah, the first order in a long time that I'm actually proud to follow. Farewell, sir. If only the missus could see you now.
Codsworth knew us before the war. He knew us before we became the person we are now. He knows that we've changed. We didn't used to be this way, and we've deeply disappointed him. I think it's fascinating that to convince X688 and Institute Courser to stay with us, we only have to pass one yellow charisma check. But to convince Codsworth, a pre-war robotic butler, to stay with us, we have to pass one of 3 red charisma checks. Codsworth is so principled that it's more difficult to convince him to stay with us than it is to convince X6 to stay with us. If we can't convince him to stay, he returns to Sanctuary, as opposed to go back to trimming that hedge. We can talk to him, but he's in no mood to talk with us.
I have nothing to say to you. You again? And I was in such a good mood, too. Oh, please do us both a favor and run along now, will you? Shouldn't you be off tormenting the good people of the Commonwealth? Apologies, sir, but I've no longer any desire to speak to one such as yourself. Don't you have someone else to bother? Is it too much to ask to be left alone? Sir, to be blunt, nothing would please me more than to never see your face again. Oh, it's you. Don't you have some lives to ruin?
And at this point, we can't get him back. If, however, after traveling the Commonwealth, after losing our spouse, after losing our son, we still maintain our integrity, we remain the loving and kind person whom Codsworth knows us to be, eventually, he'll take us aside one final time.
Sir, if I might bend your ear for a moment.
Not right now, Codsworth. Another time.
Oh, of course. I do know how busy you are. Another time, then?
What's up, Codsworth? Sure. What's on your mind? Of course. Go right ahead.
So gracious, sir. I do appreciate it. I've always had such admiration for you and your family, ever since the day my visual sensors were first switched on. You and the missus, so good with young Sean and so trusting of me to look after such a newborn bundle of joy. It just warms my nuclear core. So you can imagine the distress I felt when the bombs fell. After you fled to the vault, I searched but found no evidence of your death. I could only hope you all made it in time. And when you returned, I was overjoyed. I admit I ran a full diagnostic scan just to make sure I wasn't malfunctioning. But the news of the missus and Sean, believe me when I say it takes a true hero to live through that.
You're getting pretty mushy for a robot.
Mushy, perhaps, but completely forthright.
I'm no hero, Codsworth. Believe me.
Don't sell yourself short, sir.
You think I'm a hero? I'm far from it.
Don't sell yourself short, sir.
I'm just doing what it takes to survive out here.
Oh, it's so much more than that, sir. So much more. In such a bleak world as this, Think of all you've witnessed and all you've done. In my 200 years, I've seen it tear good men and women apart. But you, sir, you have remained the very model of what humanity should aspire to be.
Enough, Codsworth.
All right. I have said my piece and meant every word. Take it as you will. But I do still believe if anyone can help the Commonwealth regain its former glory, it's you.
I didn't realize you felt that way, Codsworth. I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything, sir. I just felt you should know what you've come to mean to me.
Are you sure that 200 years didn't rust something important up there?
Quite certain, sir. The diagnostics don't lie. What with all my self-maintenance, rust will never touch me.
Thank you, Codsworth. That means a lot.
No thanks necessary, sir. I wouldn't hear of it. I truly believe if the Commonwealth is to turn itself around, you're the one to do it. Now, not another word. I stand firm in my belief. Let's get back to it.
And by maximizing our affinity with Codsworth, we gain the Robot Sympathy perk, which grants us a permanent bonus of +10 to damage resistance from robot energy weapons. Here, Codsworth admits that what he's expecting of us is rare. It's difficult. He's seen good men and women get ground down by the Commonwealth, get twisted and changed by the Commonwealth. He admits that expecting us to maintain our integrity, to stay kind and loving, it's a tall order, and that's why he's so impressed if we're able to do so. He expects it of us because before the apocalypse even happened, we trained him that a good family is made from people who show love and kindness. And he's taken that core value and he's projected it on the Commonwealth. You know, the Institute thinks that the best hope for the Commonwealth is them and their synths. The Brotherhood thinks that the best hope for the Commonwealth is them and their military dictatorship. But I think Codsworth has greater insight into human nature than all of them, because he thinks that the best hope for the Commonwealth is the good people who live there.
The good people out there are the only hope for the Commonwealth.
And I think he's right. It takes good, hard-working, loyal, honest, and kind men and women to rebuild society. Not an underground scientific utopia. Not a military totalitarian dictatorship. Not factions with their own motives and goals. Goals that might not align with the well-being of other people in the Commonwealth. Codsworth gave us his opinion on the Brotherhood earlier. I was really frustrated that he never really gives us his opinion on the Institute. I just did an entire Institute playthrough and lore series, and I tried finding some dialogue from Codsworth about his opinion of the Institute, and I really couldn't find any. Though we do hear him say that he doesn't really like the way the Institute treats their synths. And as a robot, I think we can understand his perspective.
Your thoughts?
The Institute sure is frivolous with their toys.
Your thoughts?
I almost feel sorry for synths. Institute fodder, really. But try to kill me, and I'm afraid sympathy goes right out the window.
But he dislikes it if we kill the railroad, and he clearly likes it if we become general of the Minutemen. And I think he likes the Minutemen as well as he does because he sees that the Minutemen are protecting the good people of the Commonwealth for the sake of protecting the good people of the Commonwealth. Not for synths, not for technology, not for science, not for any other motivation, but simply because they exist and they should be protected. Now, I think it's pretty clear that these values weren't programmed into this robot by General Atomics or Robco, which makes me wonder if Codsworth is still just a robot. A lot can happen to an artificial intelligence over 200 years. Eden taught us this. Zax taught us this. Could Codsworth have become aware of his own personhood? To the point where he's more than merely a robot butler who follows orders. I'm not sure if we have enough evidence to conclude that, but we do have enough evidence that he's willing to abandon even his master, even the sole survivor, if his master doesn't live up to his own values. That is a huge leap for a created robotic intelligence to take. If Codsworth isn't sentient yet, if he hasn't evolved a true personhood yet, I think it's clear that he's on the path to do so. It may have already happened, and if not, it's only a matter of time. How did you treat Codsworth in your game? Did you embrace him as part of your family? Did you search for Sean together to try and reunite your old family unit? Or did you leave him in Sanctuary to trim hedges forever? And what do you think of his value system? Do you think he's naive, living in this post-apocalyptic universe to hold the values that he does, values that are admittedly pre-war values and antiquated? Or do you think that it was even rare before the war to find people who held these values? And that there are plenty of examples of people after the apocalypse who not only hold these values, but band together with others who do as well, and they're the ones who are rebuilding society? Not to ask you a leading question or anything, but let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish new Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss the next one, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have already, but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. Yay balls! Broadcast your love of sport with this brand new shirt all about balls. Basketballs, footballs, tennis balls, whatever balls are your personal favorite, this is the shirt for you. This design comes on other things besides shirts as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in another way, consider giving this video a super thanks on YouTube. Your super thanks directly contribute to the production of these videos. You can become a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members get little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos, and they gain access to Ox emojis that they can use in my video comments and during the live chats of my live streams. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.
I was just getting warmed up. This should be fun! Well, that about takes care of that. Here's someone to shoot. That it?